Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 2nd. I hope that you had a good April Fool's Day and were able to play a trick on someone. I got, I think, 2 tricks played on me yesterday, so thank you to those of you that did that. Today we're going to continue our assignment from yesterday. We left off in the middle of chapter 8 and also the middle of our assignment, so make sure that you have the assignment from yesterday open and the readings from yesterday open. If you have a hard copy of your Dragon Wings book, then go ahead and get that. Same thing as yesterday, you do not need your notebook and pencil today. We're not going to do a do now or notes today just because the do now word that was originally planned for today actually isn't in this chapter, so I don't want to confuse you guys. So go ahead and get all those things open, the readings or the book, your assignment from yesterday. And you don't need the video from yesterday, you just need today's video. Once you have all that open, I want you opened up to page 182. That's where we left off yesterday. So at this point, everyone should be on page 182, whether it's in your book or on the readings from yesterday. And you should also be looking at number 4 on your assignment from yesterday, because yesterday you should have completed 1, 2, and 3. So, I'm looking at number 4, and it says, read pages 183 to 185, then stop and answer the following questions. 4A, why does Robin decide to tell Moonshadow about Jack's fear? So Jack is one of the demon boys who has been mean to Moonshadow when he goes out to get water. So that's what this question means by Jack. So again, why does Robin decide to tell Moonshadow about Jack's fear? A, she wanted to cheer Moonshadow up. B, she wanted Moonshadow to use the information against Jack since he has been bullying Moonshadow. C, she wanted Moonshadow to understand why Jack is a bully. Or D, she wanted the 2 boys to fight. So, apparently she tells Moonshadow some information about Jack's fear. I believe we started to read that part yesterday on page 182. So, even though we already read page 182, I'm actually going to start at the top of page 182 so that we fully know what Jack's fear is. So, even though the question says 183, it should actually be 182. So, I'm at the top of page 182. I'm going to read till the end of 185, and then we will stop and answer this question. Of course not, she snapped. You sure you don't want to go fly my glider with me? No. Robin stood on the steps. She heard the shrill voices of the boys, and suddenly she nodded her head as if she understood. I did not want to be patronized. Well, why don't you go fly your glider? I demanded. Oh, I don't know, she said airily. It's a little too late to do it. I guess I should get dinner ready too. She kicked me lightly. Curse you for being a good influence on me. She went back inside and came out a few minutes later with a pan of peas to be shelled. She had taken off her coat and had put away her glider. She watched as I finished cutting up the little squids and cleaning out the entrails that had become black with its ink. Oof, that's disgusting, she said. She sat down beside me and put the pan on her lap. She set down a pot next to her. I'm not scared, mind you, just disgusted. Sure, I said. She broke the pods with crisp snapping sounds, but I will own up to being scared of thunder. A lot of people scared. She went on to breaking pea pods into the pot. But now you take that Jack, she said. You know him. He's the boy with the brown hair and the freckles. Well, he's the biggest boy in our school, and yet I happen to know personally from Maisie, his sister, that he'd rather die than let anyone know he was afraid of being hit in the nose, because he's scared of the sight of blood, especially his. Page 183. She studied me for a moment. She and I both knew the dragonish thing to do. Then she went back to shelling the peas. Outside in front of the house, I could hear the voices of Jack and his gang. I began to shell peas for a while. Robin and I both knew I did not walk on Polk Street much because of the demon boys. Suddenly, I put the last peas into the pot and got up. Robin raised her eyebrows. Going for a walk? A little one, I said. Jack immediately stopped playing mumbledy-peg when he saw me. He took his penknife and drove it point first into the dirt of the alley. He got up with a big grin, and he and his friends gathered by the alley. Ching chong, he began. I no like that song, I said. Too bad, Jack said. I think it's stupid. You saying I'm stupid? Everyone know that. Jack charged me with a shout. His friends behind him began to yell with shrill, excited voices. I am not much of a fighter, and I never will be. There was as much luck with me that day as anything else. Page 184. I was smaller and maybe quicker, but with his long arms and his strength, Jack could have strung me from a lamppost. But Grandfather and the other old ones must have been there to help me at that moment. Jack expected me to run, probably. He never expected me to stand up and fight, and he did not even think of dodging. I swung out and my fist went right into his face. Jack sat down with a plop in the dirt, blood running down from his nose. You hit me, he said in surprise. What you expect? I asked. I doubted if I would ever get such a lunky punch again. Still, I had come out here for the satisfaction of giving one punch to Jack for all the times he had tormented me, even if it meant getting beaten up in the end. I put up my fists awkwardly, ready to fight him some more, but Jack did not get up. The other boys behind him had grown silent. It's bleeding too, Jack said, holding up a hand to his face. And my mom just cleaned this shirt. She'd kill me. Tough. I just wanted to get the rest of the beating over with by that time. I held my fists ready to hit him. Jesus, but you're a scrappy little son of a... It sounded like, bitcha, aren't you? Jack muttered. Bitcha? I said the word I didn't recognize. Shh, Jack said. Not so loud, or we'll get our mouths washed out with laundry soap. Page 185. He held out his bloody hand. I took it and helped pull him up. Suddenly, I realized that these demons were like the Tang boys I knew at home. You only had to punch out the biggest and toughest of the bunch, and the others would accept you. Well, Jack was the biggest and toughest of his group. He looked down at me. Say, you're all right, China boy, he said. I'm not China boy, I said. Whatever you say, he said, and I knew I would not have to worry about wearing Handclap's charm after that. I don't mean to sound like all my problems with the demons were solved, or that I stopped wearing the charm completely. There was only one particular group of demon boys I did not have to watch out for. I still had to be careful whenever I left the stable. It's just that I was sure now that I could handle anything I met. My fists and my brains and my feet were as good a set of charms as the charm from Handclap. And we're going to pause there because there's a break in the page. So that means they're going to change subjects. So, read pages 182 to 185. Check, we did that. Then stop, check, that's what we're doing right now. And answer the following questions. 4A, why does Robin decide to tell Moonshadow about Jack's fear? A, she wanted to cheer Moonshadow up. B, she wanted Moonshadow to use the information against Jack since he has been bullying Moonshadow. C, she wanted Moonshadow to understand why Jack is a bully. Or D, she wanted the two boys to fight. So, to me, there are two obvious wrong answers for this one. And just like we've been learning, you should be using process of elimination. So the two that I think are definitely wrong are C and D. C says she wanted Moonshadow to understand why Jack is a bully. Who cares why someone is a bully? A bully is a bully. There's no excuse for it. And Robin is becoming Moonshadow's friend, so she would never make excuses for someone who's being mean to him. That's just ridiculous. You wouldn't make an excuse to your friend as to why someone's bullying them, There's no excuse. A bully is a bully. So C is incorrect. And then D says she wanted the two boys to fight. If you want people to fight, you probably don't like both of them, or you don't care about both of them, because both of them could get hurt. And I'm sure she doesn't want Moonshadow to get hurt because she's starting to become friends with him. So I don't think she's being a drama queen and trying to create a fight. I don't think that's what's happening here. So D is not the correct answer. So that leaves us with A and B. A says she wanted to cheer Moonshadow up. Well, telling Moonshadow about Jack's fear might make him laugh a little bit or cheer him up, but that wasn't the reaction that Moonshadow had. He didn't laugh, he didn't smile, he wasn't cheered up. That's not what ended up happening. So A is not the correct answer. So that leaves us with B, but let's double check. She wanted Moonshadow to use the information against Jack since he has been bullying Moonshadow. That's clearly the best answer because that's exactly what happened. Moonshadow ended up getting up when he was finished preparing dinner, going outside, and punching Jack in the nose. He used that information against him. So B is the correct answer. Now for 4B, which evidence best supports the answer above? A, you only had to punch out the biggest and toughest of the bunch and the others would accept you. B, I took it and helped him out. C, she and I both knew the dragonish thing to do. Or D, Robin and I both knew I did not walk on Polk Street because of the demon boys. So this one's a little trickier than 4A. 4A was a little bit more obvious. So there is one answer here that I know is definitely wrong, and that's B. I took it and helped him out. So Moonshadow using the information Robin gave him against Jack is not helping Jack out. So B is not the correct answer. So then we're left with A, C, and D. A says you only had to punch out the biggest and toughest of the bunch and the others would accept you. So that's after Moonshadow punches Jack, and Jack and the boys' attitude towards Moonshadow is now an attitude of respect. So Moonshadow's reflecting and saying, I guess that's all I had to do to gain their respect. So that might be the correct answer because it relates to using the information against Jack, but I think we might be able to get a better piece of evidence. C says, she and I both knew the dragonish thing to do. So this is about both Robin and Moonshadow, which is what 4A is about. And it also has to do with the why behind Robin telling Moonshadow. So I think this might be a better piece of evidence, but let's double check D. Robin and I both knew I did not walk on Polk Street because of the demon boys. So yes, that's about Robin and Moonshadow, and yes, that's about Jack in a sense. But this is actually before Robin tells Moonshadow about Jack's fear, so D would not be the correct answer. So that leaves us with A and C, and C is the correct answer because it is talking about not only Moonshadow, but also Robin, and it's talking about the dragonish thing to do, otherwise known as using the information against Jack. So make sure you have both of those answers, and now we're moving on to the last question on this worksheet. Look at that, you only have to do one by yourself today. So, the last question says, read pages 186 to 188, then stop and answer the following questions. 5A, why does Miss Whitlaw decide to change the subject after Windrider tells his story about the spinning maid? A, she could tell that the children were becoming bored with the story. B, she could tell that Robin was upset and saddened by the story. C, she and Moonshadow could tell that the story upset Windrider because it made him miss his wife. Or D, she could tell that Windrider felt pressured to tell a personal story. So Windrider is going to tell some story about a spinning maid, whatever that means. And Miss Whitlaw ends up changing the subject, and we need to find out why. So we're going to continue reading where that break is at the bottom of the page on 185. Please follow along with me. Sometimes the month of September in the Demon City could be just as hot as August, and it was on one such evening that we went out into the backyard because the house and stable had not cooled off as fast as the outside. We sat in chairs that we brought out, page 186. Robin, who knew something of the stars, began to name the constellations for us. See that milky streak there? That's the Milky Way, and on one side you see Aquila. That's Latin for eagle. And on the other side you see Lyra, the lyre. That's a kind of harp. That constellation you call Eagle. What you call that star? Father pointed to the brightest star. Altair. And bright star of lyre? Vega. Well, if you take those 3 stars of your eagle and forget about others, you get what we call the cowherd. And if you take those 3 stars of lyre, forget about other stars, you get, Father turned to me, what you call it? Spinning maid, I said. Just so, Father said, and he went on to tell their story. How long ago an angel who kept the herd of cows in the sky married an earth girl, the spinning maid, and took her to live with him in heaven. They spent so much time together they did not do their work. The cows wandered all over heaven and cloth did not get woven. The untended cows trampled into the palaces of the gods, and the gods themselves began to wear tattered robes because there was no cloth from which to make new ones. Finally, the Jade Emperor decided that the situation was impossible. We must separate the two, he said, page 187. And his wife, taking a hairpin from her hair, dug a great ditch across the sky and created a river filled with a silvery white liquid, which Robin called the Milky Way, but which we called the Silver River. The 2 lovers wept so much that the Jade Emperor took pity on them and told them that on the 7th day of the 7th month they could visit one another. And on that night all the magpies of the world gather together at the river and form a bridge, their wings interlaced, and they stay there, even though the passing lovers wear the feathers off their heads and wings. But that's such a sad story, Robin said. Yes, it is, Father said. But I saw he was looking up at the Silver River and thinking not of the story, but of Mother and himself. Only between them, no magpies formed a bridge across the ocean. Miss Whitlaw realized that too, I think, and so she changed the subject. So tell me, Mr. Lee, if we took our constellations and broke them up into bits and then reassembled them using the pieces of the different constellations, we would get the Chinese constellations? Yes, Father said. We see the same thing and yet find different truths, Miss Whitlaw mused. She pointed up at another group of stars, page 188. What do you call that, Robin? The twins, she said. I turned to Father. And what you call that? And Father perked up as he showed the Whitlaws how to realign them into another shape and told the story of that. Miss Whitlaw encouraged Father for a bit longer until he and Robin began naming constellations and then rearranged the stars into other shapes. I looked at Miss Whitlaw. She winked at me. She had distracted Father. End of chapter 8. So now you are going to independently answer 5A and 5B. I will reread them one more time, and then that will be it for today. 5A. Why does Miss Whitlaw decide to change the subject after Windrider tells his story about the spinning maid? A. She could tell that the children were becoming bored with the story. B. She could tell that Robin was upset and saddened by the story. C. She and Moonshadow could tell that the story upset Windrider because it made him miss his wife. Or D. She could tell that Windrider felt pressured to tell a personal story. So go ahead and pause this video and make your selection. I'm going to move on to 5B. 5B. Which evidence best supports the answer above? A. But that's such a sad story, Robin said. B. We see the same things and yet find different truths, Miss Whitlaw mused. C. But I saw he was looking up at the Silver River and thinking not of the story, but of Mother and himself. Miss Whitlaw realized that too, I think. Or D. The 2 lovers wept so much that the Jade Emperor took pity on them. Awesome. So you can pause this video. I'm going to make a couple announcements that I didn't make at the beginning of the video. So as a reminder, today is your last day of classwork for ELA. Homework was a little longer this week, so we wanted to give you Friday to catch up on any homework that you didn't finish. So that is that is your task for tomorrow for ELA, is to finish the homework if you did not already, catch up on any classwork you haven't finished, things like that. There is an optional vocab jam at noon tomorrow. So that's Friday, April 3rd at noon, 12 o'clock. There will be an optional vocab jam. So I'm going to post the link on Google Classroom and tomorrow morning, and you can go to that link a couple minutes before noon, and at noon I will start the jam. Make sure that you use your real names when you're doing the jam so that I can give you extra credit. So you will receive extra credit if you log on to the jam tomorrow. I won't have a video tomorrow because, like I said, you're just catching up on homework, classwork that you haven't finished, and logging on to the Vocab Jam for extra credit if you want to. So the only way you would see me tomorrow is if you are in my small group. Small group will still be happening at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Make sure you are checking your Google Classroom to see if I notified you that you're in my small group. If you're in my small group, you should see a link at the top of your Google Classroom for Zoom telling you that you are a part of my 1 p.m. small group. And you must attend. I've talked to most of your families about how you need to attend. So if you're still not attending today and tomorrow, I'm going to call your families tomorrow and let them know you haven't been showing up. So make sure you're double checking your Google Classroom. It's at the very top. If you're in my small group, you'll see it there, 1 p.m., Monday through Friday, Zoom chat. So that's the only way that some of you will see me tomorrow. So if you're not in my small group, I will see you on Monday. Make sure you get all that work done tomorrow. I hope that you join our Vocab Jam and have a safe and healthy weekend.